Hello, and welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. We are your host. My name is Halie.
And I'm Demi. And again, like she said, welcome. We'd love to have you here. And today we want to talk about the concept of not postponing joy. Because as we've talked about in many other episodes, there is truly only the here now. And in order to manifest things that bring you joy, which the only reason you ever want anything is because you believe you will feel better in the having of it. So the only way to attract those things that bring you joy is to feel that joy in the present moment.
Yes. So that was actually a quote that I had seen online yesterday. It was don't postpone joy. And it was like, don't spend your years waiting for your life to begin. Don't wait for someone or a circumstance to enjoy your life or to be happy. And true joy can be found in the present moment. And as you said, that's all that there is. And, you know, this portion of your life, it's not a practice run. It's not like you get to prepare for something and then you get to have this life that you dreamed of. Like, life is happening now. Like, this is life. It's not a practice. You don't get a second chance. It's now. It's here. It's happening right now.
Yes. I think that as humans, we have such a habitual behavior where we think that there's going to be something better. Like, there's something we're waiting for. There's a goal we're trying to accomplish, or, you know, a relationship we want to have, or a certain amount of money we want to get, something like that. Like, humans are always looking forward to the next desire rather than just appreciating what is now. And the irony in that is that when you are looking forward and desiring more, you're actually recognizing the lack that is the here now instead of recognizing the abundance that is in the here now and the joy that is truly in the here now, which is ironically the only way to bring that into your future, is the only way to attract that to your here now.
Yeah. And with us living in such like a masculine focused society, we are trained to plan, be strategic, work hard, very work focused and very like achievement focused. And that is, I think, kind of what this stems from, is like, okay, I graduated high school. Now what's next? Everyone's asking, what are you doing now? What are you going to do now? Yeah. It always has to be something, you know? So I graduated high school, went to college because that's what you do. And then you go, you get your achievement. I didn't even celebrate my high school graduation or my college graduation because I was like, okay, cool. Now what? Like, it was never just, I never even like thought it was okay for me to sit and like savor in that and like have gratitude for that and be proud of myself. Like, I didn't take that time to like allow myself to even notice what I had accomplished or what I had done. And instead it was like, okay, now what? So then I am, you know, doing this and doing that. And it's always focused on like the future instead of here now. And when I do take a step back and am not so like outwardly focused of what's happening in my future and focus on what's happening here, like it's like a relief, and I feel happy and I feel like settled. I don't feel this like anxiety of like having to do.
Yes.
Just so easy to get caught up in.
Oh my gosh, I have so much to say back to that. One is that anxiety comes from living in the past or the future, but never the here now. And joy can truly only be felt in the here now. It's not someplace else. There is only here now. So when we're constantly asking ourselves, what's next, and not taking that time to celebrate our accomplishments and our small wins, like we're taking that joy away from ourselves and others, you know? And, you know, we kind of touched in the last episode on how there's so much competition in the world. And a lot of people, instead of celebrating other people's wins and being happy for them and being inspired by them and excited by what they're proving to be possible, they often feel, why not me? Why am I not enough? Why don't I have that? And instead of saying, you know what, like, I have so much love in my life, I have so much abundance in my life, like everything is all good and I've accomplished so much, they say, I don't have as much as the Kardashians, you know, keeping up appearances, keeping up with the Kardashians, you know, keeping up with the grass is always greener on the other side. But if you water your grass, it'll be greener.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Russ says that in a song too. Or he's like, I'm too busy. He says
watering
about
my own grass to notice if yours is greener.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really profound in itself if you think about it.
Talks so much in his book too about how instead of looking to someone else for inspiration, look to your future self for inspiration, look to your potential for inspiration. And instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to yourself yesterday. Like, what am I going to do today differently from yesterday that's going to be better? Like, what do I want to change and what do I want to expand in my own life? And when you stay focused on that, you stay focused on your own energy and how you feel and what you're accomplishing and what you desire, that builds your life so immensely. And when you're inspired and you're excited about what you're doing and you're passionate about what you're doing, like, that is contagious.
Yeah.
Other people want to be around that, you know, because then it inspires them to do the same.
Right. And it's truly aligned with your soul purpose and yourself when you are looking to better yourself instead of, again, focusing on outwardly things on someone else. And a lot of times what we think we want from that other people have isn't truly aligned with us. We think like, oh, like that looks like it would be great or whatever, but it's whatever it might be, it might not actually align with our purpose or our path or what we truly want. We just think it is because other people think that that is desirable or whatever. But I think sometimes if you were actually in their shoes, you might be unhappy.
Yeah.
Because that's not truly what you're searching for.
Yes. And I think that there's such a misconception with like the media and social media, and I think Americans especially have this concept of, well, I need a private jet and a Rolls Royce to be successful. And if I don't have that, I'm not good enough and I'm not going to be happy. And then you look at the people who have those things and they're not necessarily happy. You know, a lot of times they're really depressed. They'll be doing drugs. Some famous people commit suicide. I mean, we've heard it a million times, but money doesn't make you happy. You get to choose to find your happiness. And if you can't find it in the here now, you're not going to find it anywhere else. It's not going to come from an accomplishment or from money or a material possession. It comes from the internal, not the external. So whether you're focusing on what somebody else has or what you don't have, you're never going to create from the outside in. Bob Proctor always taught me this. You must create from the inside out.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's also this TikTok kind of going viral right now with Taylor Lautner, and he's on the podcast with I think his wife has a podcast, and he was like, you know, if you were given $10 million right now, like, you would feel happy. Yeah. Like you think that would be life-changing and that you need to get whatever you want. But what if you accepted that whatever $10 million but didn't wake up tomorrow? Like, what would you prefer? Do you want the $10 million or do you want to be able to wake up tomorrow? And it's like, time here is the most precious thing.
Time is the most precious.
It's not the monetary aspect of life is an illusion of happiness. I think time is the most precious resource in how you spend that time and what you're doing throughout this life, and connecting to what is most aligned with your heart, I think, is going to obviously create a more fulfilling life for you, but it's more authentic to you, but it's also going to expand your time, which is what we've talked about. It's going to make your time more valuable. You're going to feel more present, where when you are chasing these desires and chasing these goals, you're rushing through your life. You're like always ready to jump to. Yes. Yeah. And it's like,
what's the next hoop I need to jump? Instead of like, I love this hoop.
Then it goes by so quickly.
It does.
And then you're going to look back and be like, dang.
I think too that there's such, again, like a misconception around not only like monetary things and material possessions, but that love comes from outside. It doesn't. And, you know, this is going to sound weird to some people if you've never heard me talk about this before, but I genuinely believe that there is only one point of consciousness. And so everything outside of us, quote unquote, though it is part of us, is something that we're attracting. Like, I do really believe that the physical life works like a hologram, and like it is just energy forming into whatever that our mind is creating. So if that is the truth, you can never find love outside of yourself if you don't feel it within. If you're not expressing love and gratitude to those around you, and this appreciation for life and this recognition that you are love, then you will never find it outside of you. Those things that you think are going to make you feel better are not outside of you, and you will never find them. You will never find them outside of you. Yeah. Actually, Rush just came out with another song. I think it's in Perfectionist. He says something about how he's learning how to like create happiness and love within himself, so that he's not searching for that validation in somebody else. And I was like, yes. Like, yes, that resonated so deeply for me, because I think, you know, for me, more than material possessions, it has always been like, I wish I had this romance fairy tale love. And as long as you're searching for that externally, you cannot attract it.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I feel like I've been rereading Book of Secrets by Deepak Chopra, which is one of the books that we recommended in our book episode. But he really does reinforce this idea, the single point of consciousness, and that life is actually inside of you, and we are just reflecting what's inside externally. So none of this actually really exists. It exists within you, and you're projecting it in a way that's almost like a hologram in front of you. I think he has a really good perspective and a similar perspective on that as well.
I think actually, like, you think about every well-known spiritual speaker, author, like they all hold that same concept. And when I was a little kid, I remember thinking that this world was like quote unquote fake, and that like there was more to me. And I remember even telling my grandma when I was so little, and I'm so lucky that she reacted the way that she did, because she is very religious. She's Catholic. And I told her, I feel like I'm trapped in my physical body, and like there is so much more to me. And I used to think like, I just want to like pull out, you know, like let me out of here. I'm bigger than this. I'm more than this. I am eternal. And at 4 years old, I was telling my grandma this, like, this is so weird to be in this physical body. So anyways, I feel blessed that she reacted the way she did, because what she told me was that knowing that I am more is a blessing. And I said, well, I feel really funny. Like, I feel like disconnected from the physical. Like, I would feel almost uncomfortable, and it would happen to me kind of in waves my whole childhood. And she said, don't try to push that away. It is a blessing.
I was just listening to this episode. It was the On Purpose podcast with Jay Shetty, of course, and I forget who he was interviewing, but he is a doctor, and it was one of the most recent episodes. I'll put it down below I'll find it, and you guys can reference it down below. But he was talking about the concept of when people have something happen to them and they die for a moment, and then they come back to life. They remember who they were. They died, but they still have that innate knowing of who they were, who they are. You don't lose that when you die, is basically what that proves. So, and I thought that was very profound. I've never thought about that before, but people they pass and they come back to life, and they still have that knowing of who they were here. They're still connected to their soul. And I thought that, like, that's amazing that your body can die and you can still
remember the physical.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about that before. I suppose like, to me, I think of past lives, because like I've done like past life regression hypnosis, and prior to that, like, it's hard to explain. I studied abroad in Scotland, I know you know, and when I went there, I had never left the country. I was only 19. I had only been on one airplane ever before that, and I was going to a foreign country where I literally didn't know a soul. And when I got there, inexplicably, I felt that I was home, like to the point where I was and still am emotional about it. I have this like deep attachment to it, and there's no explaining why, you know? And then years after I studied abroad, I did ancestry, and like, okay, so most of my DNA is from that region. And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. And they, you know, there's, I don't want to say evidence, but kind of like epigenetics say that family trauma is passed down. And a lot of people say that souls travel together with their family. What are souls? You know, I don't know. I guess I would say because everything's energy, they must be a specific frequency of energy.
Do you think, what if they came from like the same star, or like it's part of like an energetic connection from like the same like star or something, or the same, because then they're still, they were all one at one point, but then and they always like want to come back to each other because they're like vibrationally aligned.
Yeah.
So, and you have heard where like people believe that they spent previous lifetimes together, and like, you know, someone from a previous
like
lifetime.
You recognize their soul. And I mean, I think that I think almost anyone would say that they have experienced this, where you meet somebody and it's like you've known each other for years. Like it, in physical reality, I find that connection doesn't have much to do with time. Like, yes, you can build a relationship throughout time, but connection is immediate, and like you feel it. That's what, it's not like a tangible, like, well, we've spent 10 years together, so, you know, this makes us more strongly connected. Like, you can meet somebody and have a stronger connection within 10 minutes than somebody you've known for years. And you can't explain why. Like, it's just their soul resonates with yours. It's like your soul literally recognizes this person, and there's no evidence or scientific explanation as to why.
Yeah.
But you definitely feel it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's so magical and beautiful. It kind of contradicts like the idea that everything is here now, you know? And then we could go into like, well, what if all of these timelines are happening? They're corresponding all at one time. And like, it could go down a rabbit hole.
Oh my God. Infinite, because there is infinite.
But I think it's just difficult because like our human mind can't comprehend it. So we try to make sense of it, but you know, using our brain, like we can't truly like grasp it.
Yes.
It's just, I don't think it's quite possible. But that is why you have to listen within and tap into your heart. Your heart is all knowing. Tapping into the heart and using that to guide you, as opposed to this thinking brain, which is also like where that like masculine structured go energy comes from, is like thinking with your brain all the time, using and trying to make sense of things.
Physical is so logical. Like we're taught to be so logical in the physical.
But I think that's more of a recent thing.
Yeah.
I think that humans used to live more intuitively, live more in tune with the earth, tap more into their heart. But also now, like, things are so much more interconnected than they ever were, like with technology and stuff too. So I guess it's hard to...
The irony. Yeah. Do you know, I find, this is kind of off topic, but just thinking about like communication and stuff, I think that when there was less like immediate gratification, like when we can text and snap and be on social media and connected to all these people instantaneously, that people had to have more trust and faith in each other. It was like, you know, if someone goes off to war, you can't call them. Like, you just have to know that, like, we love each other. I trust them. And, like, I have faith that they're going to come home to me. And even, like, moving across to a different country or something like that for any other reason, like, they would write letters to each other and, like, hold that connection and just have trust and faith. And now I feel like there's so much less of that in our generation. Like, so many people are like, well, it's just so easy to find somebody else. Like, you have immediate gratification. You can text anybody, snap anybody, like, oh, you're bored, you're lonely, just text someone else. You know what I mean? Instead of keeping that faith and trust in a person, in a relationship, and even in yourself.
Yeah. I think that that comes from a lack of connection with your heart space and leading from your heart. In Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, I'd have to kind of refresh like the factuals of it, but the heart is like a second brain, and your heart is just as smarter than your brain. It just is a different kind of knowing.
Yes. I want to say that I've learned about this actually in college, where the heart has similar nerve cells to the brain. And that's why it actually holds like knowledge and intelligence within it, which is not a wide known fact, but I think it should be.
And I think that would make sense. Like if we carry generational trauma, I think that might be remembered in the heart. I know that I feel pain and hurt and heartbreak that I've never gone through. And I believe that it has come from family members that came before me. But I don't know that with my brain. I know that in my heart, that I can feel that for them. And I know that it's not mine as well.
That's interesting. I feel that same way. And I feel like we literally feel that pain in our heart center. Like that's why we call it heartbreak, which is a terrible use of spells, by the way. But because we truly do feel it within our heart center. And when people become, like really stressed out and heartbroken, they have heart attacks and, like physical ailments within the heart center,
Yeah, absolutely. So all energy and it intertwines everything. Like it intertwines with your words and what you're saying, but also like your vibrational frequency, and just you can allow the heartbreak to literally like consume you. You can create that. And I know, I've had a family member where I know that they've let their feelings and emotions create a very terrible disease in their body, and then they did die. And it I think it's just because of like their beliefs.
Yes.
And they kind of let their past experiences dictate the here now.
Yes.
Instead of moving through that, letting that go, and then allowing yourself to live in the present and be happy here now, and to not let past experiences, you're basically recreating that past experience in your mind over and over again, but your mind doesn't know the difference of like what's actually happening right now. They think it's real.
Yes.
So you're just like recreating that over and over again.
Yes. So I look at that like it has so much to do with how we're raised and who we're raised by and what their subconscious beliefs are, because that's what we take on. Now, the subconscious is the emotional mind, and it is what controls your body entirely. You cannot pick something up off a table without your subconscious mind. You think about it, you're not thinking about like each nerve and bone and muscle that you're moving when you're moving your body. You don't think about that. It's subconscious. So when we're taking on those beliefs, it creates that vibration and those actions within our body. And unless we become aware of that and aware of that cycle, it continuously repeats. Because say something bad happens to you, and humans love to complain, right? So something bad happens, they want to tell everybody, this happened, it's terrible, and it felt like this. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between reality, imagination, and dreams. It is all the same. And so you create emotion from that, and then you're constantly acting out of that emotion, which is why we see so many people who get stuck in their emotions and create the same cycle over and over and over and over and over again until they die.
Yeah. And it's reinforcing the idea that the external reality is a reflection of what's going on inside of you.
Yes. But, on a brighter note, it can be changed. Awareness is key. And catching yourself in those habitual behaviors, like, you can change it. And I think something I learned from the Silva mind control method was when you want to change a behavior or a habit, instead of focusing on, say, if you're a smoker, like, I want to quit smoking, and being mad at yourself for it and like guilt tripping yourself and things like that, instead of focusing on the habit itself, you focus on the positive outcome of what will happen if you give up the habit. Now, one day I was writing this down. I was journaling about like a bad habit I had, and I was writing down like all of the things that I could achieve and all of the things that would happen for me if I stopped this habit. It was like I would be healthier, I would have more time, I would be able to accomplish more, I would be able to, and at the end of it I was like, damn, I'd be richer, healthier, hotter. Like, so when you focus on that like positive outcome, it makes it much easier for you to change the habit rather than feeling bad about it, because then you're going to attract more of that bad energy into it, right? So instead of focusing on that negative, you focus on the positive. You catch yourself complaining. You think, okay, I literally can feel that this does not feel good. What can I think or talk about that's going to feel better?
Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about like going into the unknown future as well. Mm-hmm. When you're living from the past, you are firing the same like neurons that's known to you, that's comfortable. It can feel difficult to begin to change that. You're rewiring how your brain works. Another method is to meditate and begin to tap into more of that universal energy and let go of the concept of time and, begin to generate those better feeling emotions and thoughts. And it can become easier when you are in a state where you can let go of what's external for you. You can become present within yourself and disconnect from your body, your mind, and just like allow yourself to be present in the unknown. And then that kind of can start to translate into your reality, because then unknown or new circumstances will begin to arise for you, and you can kind of begin to walk into your new future.
I think too, like I've learned a lot about how people become so attached to their trauma, and like it's an ego thing, that they see that as their identity. And so they actually on a subconscious level are afraid to let go of the trauma, whether that be like a physical ailment or some heartbreak that happened in their physical reality or what might it be. They're afraid to let go of that because they see it as ego death. Like ego is literally afraid to let go of it. But when you do, like when you think about manifesting, for example, the key to manifestation is to feel as though you already have whatever it is that you want to manifest into the physical reality. So when you do, and it's can be tricky to feel like you have something when it's not there, but be delusional. I'm telling you it works. When you feel as though you have it, you start to act differently, because say that you want to switch your subconscious belief system from there's always lack, there's never enough, to there's infinite abundance, there's more than enough. When you embody that, you're going to start to feel and act out of that. That's going to change your habitual actions. So instead of maybe like spending money on dumb things like, I don't know, cigarettes and video games or something like that, you might learn to spend that time on a side job that is your passion, and then all of a sudden you create all this money that you never thought was possible simply because you changed that belief. But it all comes from how you feel.
Yeah. And I think if you are living in alignment, episode 1, go listen to it. If you are living in alignment and you still feel like you're still kind of like wondering,
not there yet,
divine time. I think that is so important to recognize that, everything comes to you in divine time.
Yes.
And surrendering and trusting that is, again, like a moment of relief, but it also allows you to transmute that feeling of like, I need to be doing something, I need to accomplish something, instead of it's like, it's going to come to me when the time is right. The opportunity is going to arise. And as long as I continue to work to live in alignment every single day, like I know that whatever's meant to me is going to come to me.
Faith. Bob would talk a lot about how blind faith was just about useless because most people can't keep it. But when you study the laws of the universe, it's not blind faith. You understand that everything is made up of energy, and your emotions are your energy in motion. You understand that you're always acting out of those, and it becomes this like really logical thing. Like, okay, the heart center is 417 hertz. Let me feel that, and let me act out of that. And then it's not blind faith. It's understanding that like keeping this faith is what creates what it is that you can have faith in, you know?
Yeah. And Abraham Hicks is known for, ask and it is given.
Yep.
And she talks a lot about the concept of like, if it's not this, like something better, or it's just not going to happen right now, but it's coming. It's going to come at the right time. And she obviously says that much better, but it's true.
The knowing that it is going to be, and then allowing the universe, or like a lot of people say, let go and let God, surrender. Letting go of that control is what releases the resistance. It releases the resistance, and it allows the blessings to come to you. But as long as we hold on to that control, which is so physical and masculine and egotistical, we're blocking our own blessings.
And then that kind of brings us back full circle. That's how you become present in the moment. You find joy in the present moment, and you are able to find the joy and the blessings here now. You're not postponing it. You're not looking for it in something that's going to happen in the future. You're able to surrender and just enjoy and live in the deliciousness of the now, and just know and trust that everything is going to unfold for you perfectly in divine time.
Oh, that's so good. I was listening to a talk from Abraham the other day, and it was a guy talking to her on the hot seat, and he said that he had this relationship with this woman he really loved, and that they were like on a break, and he hated the not knowing. And she said, what if I told you that for sure it's going to work out? And he said, well, okay. And it's like, that's what if God is telling you that no matter what, it's going to work out? When you allow yourself to believe that and act out of that, you're free. You let go of the fear, doubt, worry. And when you're feeling the fear, doubt, worry, that's all you're attracting. So there's literally no use in holding on to it. It's completely humanistic and useless.
Yes. Yeah. And it can actually do the opposite. It can create resistance and build up in your body. And
I mean, ego and subconscious do that because they're protecting us, they think, right? Like if you have gone through heartbreak, then a lot of times you're really scared to be vulnerable because you literally go into fight or flight, and your body's like, no, it's dangerous. Like you can't do that. It's dangerous. You're going to hurt us again. And it's like, well, the only way to attract that is to be that. And in Russ's book, he talks about how his mom would say, boundaries down, boundaries down. And I actually had a life coaching meeting with her one time, and that was one of the things she had said to me that genuinely changed my life. I was talking about, having difficult communication with people that were close to me and people that I loved. And she said, you have to go into these conversations with your boundaries down. And what that means is that you're being entirely vulnerable, because when you do that, other people cannot use your vulnerabilities against you. When you and Russ talks about, I think there's this, it might be called Naked, the song, but he says, your soul, not your body. Like, I want to see your soul naked. And what he means by that is to strip down those boundaries that you think are protecting you, and just to bare your naked soul. And, people are afraid to do that because they're afraid of rejection or fear, abandonment, and stuff like that. But the truth is, when you are being your most vulnerable and authentic self, that's what you're attracting from others. And
that becomes
pure alignment,
like divine at that point. It's like a cosmic connection.
Yes. You attract so much stronger connections, so much more authentic, genuine, soul satisfying, resonant connections by doing that. It does change your life, and we're not meant to resonate with everybody, but if you are truly brave enough to be yourself, then you attract the biggest blessings that resonate with you.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. I'm trying to practice that.
Me too. And it's not easy. I mean, yeah. And I think people say school of life, like we're here to learn.
Yes. I stay studying.
Always.
Well,
yeah, I think that was really beautiful. Again, just another cosmic download for you guys today. I hope that you learned something from this and it raises your vibration. We are so happy to be building this radiant, divine community filled with love and light. And to finish off this episode, we will pull a card. If you're new here, we always finish off the episode by pulling an oracle card or a tarot card so that we can leave you with a message. And our hope for this is that maybe you take a moment to let this message sink in, listen to your intuition, see if it guides you in any way. And you can even use this as like a journaling prompt, a way to like get started in a journaling. And we are pulling from the Wild Mystic Oracle card set. And if you're watching, this is what it looks like.
And like they like to say on TikTok, but ironically, it is so true. If you are here, this message is for you. It really is. And if you are here, like we are sharing our authentic selves and energy and beliefs with you, and you're definitely here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So the card that I pulled is Stillness.
All right, so this is what it looks like. This deck is so pretty. I love the little illustrations. This looks like maybe is it a crane or a heron?
I think it's a heron. Yes, it's a heron.
Perfect.
Okay. This card represents stillness and serenity. Unlike the bear, who inspires physical rest, the heron card signals psychological and spiritual rest. This is just what we're talking about, as always. The heron is a fishing bird who relies on stillness to catch prey. As they wait patiently in a calm pond, the water becomes glassy and still. Their balance upon their stalk-like legs inspires harmony, centering, and tranquility. The card urges you to stop and take a moment to center yourself. It is a card for meditation, mindfulness, reflection, and grounding. In Korea, the heron is a symbol of grace and transcendence above the mundane world. A heron on the ground is associated with earth and waters around them, but as they take flight into boundless air, they transcend the physical. If you have been too grounded in the material or focused on the physical, then this card urges you to look higher. If the bodily reality of a situation is too definite and painful right now, focusing on mental journeys might be safe and healing. Out-of-body experiences, visualization, and higher consciousness may be calling to you as ways to get through the present situation. This card may also represent those born under the Western zodiac sign of Aquarius. The shadow reading is, as the heron strikes and plucks a fish from the water, the splashes of chaos take over and ripple out. Stillness may be the calm before the storm. Alternatively, the ripples of someone else's chaos may be threatening to surge into your world. The correspondences, it gives like the element, it's air or water. The flowers are cypress, reed, lily of the valley, and magnolia. The stones are moss agate, blue calcite, and chrysocolla and jade. And spell work is promoting inner calm and peace, quelling fear and doubt, which I feel like is everything we talked about in this episode. Exactly. And actually, I have seen 3 herons in the last week, which is kind of crazy because I feel like you don't see them that much.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful to note that, we're talking a lot about, opening your heart, and the heart chakra is the center chakra, and it links the lower chakras with the higher chakras. So it is not only an energy center that invites in groundingness and being rooted into the earth and the here now, but it links that with the higher powers, the higher chakras. So we're thinking of like the throat, the third eye, and the crown. Those are all things that are higher up, and they're going to connect you more with the higher dimensions, your higher self, your intuition, things that are not here in the 3D reality. So really working with your heart and becoming more vulnerable and more open, and letting go of the fear, doubt, and worry, it aligns all of the chakras together.
Yes, yes. And I think too, like the card represents water and air, both of which are very flowing and detached elements, which is so key. So detaching not only from the physical, like material world, like I said, we've talked about material possessions or like other people or whatever it might be outside of you, but also detaching from that fear, doubt, and worry because it's not keeping you safe.
With that, we will finish off this episode. Again, we thank you guys for being here from, I don't even know if the bottom of our heart is a good saying, but from our heart, heart spaces, we are just so filled with gratitude and appreciation for you guys. And we can't wait to see you in our next episode.
Bye, love you. Everything she said.